I've got a constable, so it's right. It's right there. Now, it's actually the cornfields. It's one of my favourites. When I was young, I had that in my living room. It was really quite. It just like it subsumed the whole room, and it influenced me to such a degree. I just today I just love the I just love John Constable. I can't get enough of him. So I don't have any in here apart from that one, but that's just reminiscent of my. It's nostalgia basically. It's nostalgia is what it boils down to. Now the point of all this preface is you don't just meet John Constable by shaking his hand. You meet him by standing in the field and waiting for the weather to change. Preferably the sort of field people walk through without noticing. The sort that smells faintly of damp grass and labour. That sort that looks unimpressive until the sky decides to perform. Now, the cornfield does not announce itself as important. It doesn't dazzle. It doesn't flatter. It simply exists. It exists calmly and confident that if you stay with it for long enough, it will outlast your expectations. Constable understood the greatness that rarely shouts today. The greatness we see when we're outside, boundless, the boundless joy of the countryside. What's noted about Constable's work is not that it depicts England, but that it insists that England is enough. No imported Romans, no borrowed mythologies, no heroic shepherds posing like minor gods. Just land that has been used, weather that cannot be controlled, and people who belong to it rather than dominate it. Now, I'm surprised that John hasn't been cancelled yet, to be honest with you, with that kind of iconology. His skies do more than his figures. His clouds have mood. His light, it has mercy. He painted the countryside not as decoration, but as lived experience, and that decision annoyed a lot of people with their preferred their art sort of like tidy and safely impressive. John Constable. John Constable was born in 1776 in East Berkshire, Suffolk, which is to say that he was born directly into the landscapes that would later define him, a landscape that defies this channel reality. His father, Golding Constable, was a mill owner and a practical man who understood power as water as power and land as income. John was expected to inherit this world of gears and commerce and responsibility. Instead, he absorbed the environment sideways. He watched the very water move under bridges and noticed how clouds gathered out over the Stour. He sketched compulsively, not because this was rebelling, but because he didn't not want to do it. Now, that's an artist. There is no melodramatic break with family expectations here, no storming off to London in defiance, just a slow, stubborn realization that he would never be satisfied measuring profit when he could be measuring light. In his early years, they were not romanticised in hindsight, and that matters. Constable didn't mythologise his childhood, and neither should we. He would, well, I do tend to do that, although Constable doesn't. He wasn't forged in adversity so much as shaped by familiarity. He knew he knew his land immediately before he ever painted it seriously, and that intimacy would become his strength. When he finally pursued his father to allow him to pursue art, it was done cautiously and practically, with the understanding that failure was still a real possibility. Failure in his art, failure in being able to make it an actual profession, failure to find the meaning of it all, to be honest with you. At the Royal Academy schools in London, Constable did what he was supposed to do. He studied the old masters. He learned composition, autonomy, and classical precedent. He admired Claude, respected Rubens, and understood Gainsborough's elegance, and then quietly decided they weren't enough. Or rather, They weren't right for England. He didn't reject tradition. He interrogated it. Why should English landscape, for example, why should English landscape pretend to be Italian? Why should weather be smothered into submission? Why should nature behave politely just because paint demands it? Constable once said, painting is but another word for feeling. A line often quoted as romantic sentiment, but better understood as working practice. Feeling, for Constable, was not intelligence. It was accuracy. If the sky felt heavy, it should look heavy. If light broke suddenly, the paint should register that shock. His famous cloud studies, painted outdoors, annotated with time, date, and weather conditions, they were not flourishes. They were research. He treated the sky like a system, not like a backdrop. That alone was enough to make him suspect in academic circles. Again. Socially, Constable was present, but never entirely fashionable. He moved among artists, patrons, and intellectuals without quite belonging to any camp. He admired Turner deeply, while quietly resisting Turner's theatrical ambition. Turner chased the sublime through spectacle, and Constable found it in accumulation. Turner's light dissolves form. Constable's light reveals it. Their rivalry has been overstated, but the contrast is real. Turner wanted the future. Constable wanted the truth of the present, even if the present was muddy and murky. The defining emotional relationship of Constable's adult life was with Maria Bricknell. It was neither simple nor easy. Their courtship stretched over years of resistance from her family, who considered Constable financially insecure and emotionally intense. Not incorrect assessments, as it turned out. Their letters are heavy with longing and frustration and worry, and when they finally married in 1816, it felt less like triumph than relief. Love had arrived, but it arrived cautious and already shadowed by Maria's fragile health. This emotional strain, it bleeds directly into his work, very relatable. Constable's landscapes are not natural records, they are invested. After Maria's health declined, and especially after her death in 1828, his paintings darkened, thickened, became less resolved. The brushwork loosened, the skies grew volatile. He wore black for the rest of his life, and emotionally the work does too. But grief is a strange thing. It embodies and pursues, but grief does not make his paintings sentimental. It makes them urgent. They feel like attempts to hold something steady while everything else shifts. The very conservative at its core, the great 6-footers, the hay wain, the leaping horse, the view on the Stour, were bold not because of their subject matter, but because of their scale. Constable was insisting that the ordinary English labourer and landscape deserved the same physical presence, the same attendance as historical and mythological scenes. This was a provocation. The Royal Academy did not know what to do with him. His work was criticised as unfinished, too rough, too what would they call it nowadays? Too in your face. Constable responded by painting more the way he believed was right. He did not compromise. He doubled down. Ironically, it was France that understood him first. Now, it is said that no good eyes are to French, and nothing really is substantial in that land. Weird. When the hay wain was exhibited in Paris, French artists and critics recognized this freshness immediately. Decoureux admired the vitality of Constable's colour and reportedly repainted parts of his own work after seeing it. Constable became influential. abroad before he was celebrated at home, a pattern familiar to many English artists stubborn enough to refuse ornament. Constable's social life in his later years was shaped by responsibility and loss. After Maria's death, he raised their children alone while continuing to paint and teach. His letters from that period are unsparing. He speaks openly of despair, fleeing divided from himself, of painting as both refuge and burden. Yet he did not retreat from the world. He continued to exhibit, to write, to argue for his vision of art. When he was finally elected to the Royal Academy in 1829, he felt overdue rather than triumphant. What makes Constable's adult work remarkable is his refusal to idealize. He loved the countryside, but he did not purify it or pettify it. Mills churn, rivers swell, trees bend under weather, human figures are present but rarely heroic. They belong to landscape rather than commanding it. His humility is deliberate. They belong there. This humanity is deliberate. Constable believed nature was not there to serve narrative ambition. It existed independently, and art's job was to notice honestly. The England Constable painted was already slipping away, reshaped by industrialization, enclosure, and modern speed. His paintings are not nostalgic retreats so much as acts of witness. He was recording something before it disappeared. Even he understood that disappearance was inevitable. The disappearance of the English landscape today is something we all have to take note of, indeed abhor. Constable died in 1837, worn down by grief, labour, and a lifetime of arguing for what he believed in. He did not die famous in modern sense, but he died influential, an influence that endures to this day. It struck me, though, enough to write this. His insistence on painting what he knew and how he felt it opened doors for later artists who would push perception even further. Impressionists recognized him as a precursor. Modern painters recognized his refusal to lie. His legacy now feels inseparable from the countryside itself, which is curious irony given how much the countryside has changed. Now that's an understatement of the year. But perhaps this is the point. Constable did not seek permanence. He painted transience with attention. The skies move, his lights shift, his fields bear the marks of use. They feel alive because they are not frozen. As I stand in front of the cornfields over there, I have in my office here, I don't feel instructed. I feel invited. I notice the quiet drama of ordinary space, realizing that the painting isn't asking to be admired so much as inhabited. Somewhere behind that sky is a man who believed that paying attention was a moral act, and that feeling properly observed was enough to justify a life's work. In an age that rewards spectacle and noise, Constable's stubborn commitment to ordinary still feels quietly radical. He reminds us not everything is worth preserving, announces itself loudly, and that sometimes the most revolutionary thing an artist can do is look at what everyone else has stopped seeing. I remember that, turning away from the picture in the living room that day, back in the day, and regarding my future as something that reflects stability in nature and conservatism. It matters. It mattered enough to me to take on board the fact that my acting ambitions had disappeared, that life was giving me something which wasn't actually going to pan out the way I wanted it to.
Life. Don't talk to me about life.
It reminded me that to enjoy life, to see it as it truly is to embrace it. And that's the true vision that the cornfield gives us, and most of Constable's other works indeed. We must embrace what we have and find joy in the things which remain real, especially today. Give us a good clicking.
Shakanaka.